Hello, the unspoken woman. Welcome to the channel. The strongest mind in the room is rarely the one making the most noise. It is the one deciding which noise deserves no response. What if one of the oldest philosophies in history and one of the most misunderstood personality types today have been quietly following the same psychological blueprint all along? Most people think Stoicism is about suppressing emotions, and they think Sigma females are simply women who like being alone. That's the surface story, and it's completely misleading. Psychologists have long observed that people who consistently resist emotional contagion, delay judgment, and think independently often make better decisions under pressure. That's not because they're cold, it's because their minds aren't easily hijacked. And here's the fascinating part. This is exactly where the worlds of Stoicism and the Sigma female unexpectedly collide. But the similarities go much deeper than staying calm or enjoying solitude. They share hidden mental habits that most people never notice. Habits that quietly shape how they trust, observe, make decisions, handle conflict, and protect their peace in ways that seem unusual, even mysterious, to everyone else. Some of these similarities are so subtle that you'll probably recognize them in your own life before this video is over. Others might completely change how you see both Stoicism and the Sigma female mindset. And don't worry, this isn't another list of "she doesn't care what people think" or "she likes being alone." Those ideas have been repeated so many times, they deserve a retirement party with no guests. So stay with me, because what most people miss isn't found in loud behavior. It's hidden inside quiet psychology, and once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Number 1. They don't mistake intensity for importance. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that whatever hits them the hardest emotionally must also be the most important thing happening in their lives. A rude comment, an angry text, an embarrassing moment, or someone's sudden change in attitude can feel huge in the moment, but feeling big and being important are not the same thing. This is where Sigma females and Stoic thinking quietly separate themselves from the crowd. They've learned that emotions are excellent messengers, but terrible decision-makers. Just because something creates a strong reaction doesn't mean it deserves a strong response. In fact, many of life's biggest distractions arrive wrapped in powerful emotions. That's exactly why they steal so much attention. A Sigma female is more likely to ask herself, will this matter next week, next month, next year? If the answer is no, she refuses to let a temporary emotional storm become a permanent mental burden. She understands that not every battle deserves her energy, and not every opinion deserves a defense. Stoicism teaches the same lesson. It encourages separating facts from feelings before taking action. Someone may insult you, but that's a fact. Feeling offended is your interpretation of that fact. Once you understand the difference, you stop handing control of your peace to every loud personality that crosses your path. Ironically, the people who create the most drama often believe they deserve the most attention. Sigma females see through that illusion. They know that noise is not the same as value, and urgency is not always truth. The real strength isn't found in reacting faster than everyone else. It's found in knowing when something simply isn't worth carrying in your mind. That single habit protects peace, sharpens judgment, and keeps life focused on what genuinely matters, instead of whatever happens to shout the loudest. Number 2. They treat every first impression as incomplete data. Most people make up their minds about someone almost instantly. A confident smile becomes proof of honesty. A quiet personality gets mistaken for arrogance. Someone who speaks well is automatically seen as intelligent, while someone who stumbles over their words is unfairly underestimated. These snap judgments feel natural, but they're often wrong. Sigma females and Stoics resist this mental shortcut. Instead of treating a first impression as the final answer, They see it as the opening chapter of a much longer story. They understand that people are incredibly skilled at showing only what they want others to see. Kindness can be a mask. Confidence can hide insecurity. Charm can cover selfish motives. Even awkwardness can hide remarkable wisdom. This is why Sigma females rarely rush into admiration or rejection. They don't assume someone is trustworthy because they made a great first impression, and they don't write someone off because the first meeting felt uncomfortable. They know that character reveals itself through consistency, not performance. Stoicism shares this same mindset by encouraging people to delay judgment until they have enough evidence. It reminds us that our first thoughts are often influenced by emotion, bias, or appearance rather than reality. Waiting before reaching a conclusion isn't hesitation, it's wisdom. This habit also protects Sigma females from manipulation. Many manipulative people rely on creating a powerful first impression because they know most people stop asking questions after that. A Sigma female keeps observing long after everyone else has already made up their minds. She pays attention to how people behave when they're frustrated, how they treat those who have nothing to offer them, and whether their actions continue matching their words over time. Those details reveal far more than a polished introduction ever could. In a world obsessed with instant opinions, one of the greatest psychological advantages is refusing to believe you've already seen the whole picture. The people who take longer to judge often end up understanding others far better than those who decide within the first 5 minutes. Number 3. They rarely feel the need to correct every false story told about them. One of the most overlooked strengths shared by Sigma females and Stoicism is knowing that not every lie deserves a response. Most people feel an almost irresistible urge to defend themselves the moment they hear that someone has misunderstood them or spread a false story. They rush to explain, argue, or prove their innocence, believing that if they can just say the right words, everyone will finally understand. But life rarely works that way. A Sigma female realizes that people don't always believe stories because they're true. They believe them because those stories fit what they already want to think. Once someone has made up their mind, facts alone don't always change it. Chasing every rumor becomes an endless job that steals time, energy, and peace. Stoicism takes a similar view. It teaches that your character is yours to control, but your reputation lives in the minds of other people, and you cannot manage someone else's mind without losing control of your own. That doesn't mean a Sigma female stays silent when something truly matters. If a false accusation could harm her family, career, or integrity, she will address it clearly and directly. But she refuses to spend her life fighting every misunderstanding that drifts her way. Ironically, people who constantly defend themselves often look less convincing. Endless explanations can sound like desperation, even when they're telling the truth. A Sigma female understands that calm consistency speaks louder than emotional speeches. She lets time become her witness. She trusts that repeated actions reveal more than repeated arguments. While others are busy managing opinions, she is busy managing her character. Number 4. They watch patterns instead of promises. One conversation can be convincing. One kind gesture can be impressive. One heartfelt apology can even sound completely sincere. But Sigma females and Stoics know that a single moment tells you very little about who a person really is. What matters is what keeps happening after the words have faded. This is why they pay close attention to patterns instead of promises. Anyone can promise loyalty when things are easy. Anyone can talk about honesty, kindness, or commitment. Words are often spoken in the heat of emotion, but patterns are built over time. They are much harder to fake Because they require consistency, and consistency always reveals the truth. A Sigma female notices the little things that most people overlook. Does someone keep making the same excuse? Do they apologize but never change? Are they respectful only when they need something? These repeated behaviors form a pattern, and she knows patterns rarely lie. Stoicism echoes this way of thinking. It encourages people to judge life by what repeatedly happens, not by what they hope will happen. It reminds us that reality is found in actions, not intentions. Good intentions may sound comforting, but actions are what shape trust. This mindset also protects Sigma females from disappointment. Instead of becoming attached to someone's potential, they focus on who that person consistently chooses to be. They understand that hoping someone will change is not the same as seeing evidence that they have. Perhaps the hardest truth is this: people often tell you exactly who they are, not through dramatic moments, but through ordinary habits repeated day after day. The problem is that most people are too busy listening to promises to notice the pattern unfolding right in front of them. Number 5. They understand that attention is a form of currency. Most people think their greatest asset is money. Sigma females and Stoics often see something even more valuable: attention. Money can be earned back after it's spent. Attention cannot. Every minute you give away is a minute of your life you'll never get back. That is why they are incredibly careful about where their focus goes. They know that the modern world is constantly competing for attention. Every notification, argument, headline, opinion, and unnecessary drama is asking for a small piece of the mind. On its own, each distraction seems harmless. But over time, those small pieces add up until there is very little focus left for what truly matters. A Sigma female doesn't protect her attention because she thinks she's better than everyone else. She protects it because she understands a simple psychological truth. Whatever repeatedly captures your attention slowly shapes your thinking. Spend enough time around negativity, and your mind starts expecting it everywhere. Spend enough time chasing approval, and your happiness begins depending on other people's reactions. Stoicism teaches the same principle. It reminds us that while we cannot control everything happening around us, we can choose what we allow to occupy our minds. That choice quietly determines the quality of our lives. This is also why Sigma females don't feel guilty for stepping away from pointless conversations, endless gossip, or constant online noise. They know attention is an investment. If something gives nothing in return except stress, confusion, or emotional exhaustion, it simply isn't worth the cost. The people who guard their attention are often misunderstood. Others may call them distant, selective, or even difficult to reach. But they're not avoiding people. They're avoiding unnecessary mental debt. Number 6. They don't rush to resolve psychological discomfort. One of the hardest things for most people is sitting with uncertainty. The moment they don't know what someone meant, why a situation changed, or how something will turn out, they feel an overwhelming need to find an answer. They send another message, demand an explanation, jump to conclusions, or create a story in their minds just to make the discomfort disappear. Sigma females and Stoics take a very different approach. They understand that not knowing is uncomfortable, but discomfort is not an emergency. They don't allow temporary uncertainty to push them into permanent mistakes. Instead of forcing answers, they give reality time to reveal them. This patience gives them an advantage that many people never develop. They know that rushed decisions are often emotional decisions. When people panic, they tend to fill in missing information with assumptions, and assumptions have a way of creating problems that never existed in the first place. Stoicism teaches that wisdom begins by accepting what you do not yet know. There is no shame in waiting for more evidence before deciding what to think or how to act. In fact, waiting is sometimes the smartest action available. A Sigma female doesn't mistake silence for rejection or delay for disaster. She understands that people have complicated lives, emotions change, and circumstances are rarely as simple as they first appear. Rather than inventing explanations, she watches, listens, and lets time expose what emotions try to hide. Ironically, the people who are most desperate for immediate closure often end up believing the wrong answers simply because those answers arrived first. A Sigma female would rather live with an unanswered question for a while than build her decisions on a comforting lie. She knows that truth rarely arrives on command. It unfolds in its own time. And those who can tolerate uncertainty without surrendering to panic often make the clearest decisions, avoid unnecessary regret, and discover that patience is not passive. It is one of the strongest forms of self-control. Number 7. They secretly test environments before trusting them. Most people focus all their attention on reading individuals. They ask, "Can I trust this person?" A Sigma female asks a different question first. What kind of environment allows this person's behavior to exist? That small shift in thinking changes everything. She understands that people don't behave the same way in every setting. Someone may appear honest in a place where dishonesty has consequences, yet become completely different in an environment where lies are rewarded. The surroundings often reveal as much as the individual. This is why Sigma females rarely rush to settle into a new workplace, friendship, or social circle. Before becoming fully comfortable, they quietly observe the unwritten rules. They notice what gets rewarded, what gets ignored, and what people are forced to tolerate just to fit in. These silent observations tell them more than any welcome speech or friendly smile ever could. Stoicism reflects this same wisdom. It teaches that good judgment requires seeing reality as it is, not as you hope it to be. Sometimes the problem isn't one difficult person. Sometimes the entire environment encourages gossip, selfishness, dishonesty, or constant competition. Blaming one individual while ignoring the system is like fixing a single leak while the whole roof is falling apart. A Sigma female also understands that environments shape people over time. Even those with strong values can slowly change if they remain surrounded by negativity, manipulation, or constant pressure. That is why she pays close attention to where she spends her time. She knows that protecting her character isn't only about choosing the right people, it's also about choosing the right places. Most people ask whether they belong somewhere. A Sigma female asks whether that place brings out the best or the worst in the people inside it. The answer to that question often predicts her future better than any first impression ever could. Number 8. They become suspicious whenever something feels too easy. Most people are naturally drawn to whatever feels effortless. A deal that sounds perfect, a person who agrees with everything, or an opportunity that promises quick success can be incredibly attractive. After all, who doesn't want life to be easier? A Sigma female pauses precisely at that moment. She has learned that not everything smooth is safe. Sometimes the easiest path is carefully designed to lower your guard. Manipulation rarely arrives looking dangerous. More often, it comes wrapped in excessive praise, instant trust, unbelievable promises, or offers that seem too good to refuse. This doesn't mean she walks through life expecting the worst from everyone. It means she understands a simple, psychological truth. When something asks for very little effort but promises a huge reward, it's worth slowing down and asking more questions. Stoicism teaches this same kind of discipline. It reminds us not to become slaves to comfort or immediate pleasure, because those things can cloud judgment. The mind is often at its weakest when everything feels convenient. That's when people stop paying attention, stop asking questions, and start making decisions on impulse instead of reason. A Sigma female doesn't reject opportunities because they're easy. She simply refuses to let ease replace careful thinking. She looks beyond the excitement and asks, what's being left unsaid? What happens after the first impression? What does this person gain if I say yes? Those questions protect her from many of the traps that catch others off guard. Life has taught her that real value usually takes time to understand. Genuine friendships grow gradually. Trust is earned through consistency. Personal growth requires effort. Anything trying to skip those steps deserves a closer look. She knows that the greatest mistakes are rarely made because people ignored obvious danger. More often, they happened because something felt so easy, so comfortable, and so convincing that no one thought to question it. Number 9. They don't let temporary versions of people rewrite permanent decisions. One of the easiest ways to make a costly mistake is to believe that a single moment defines an entire person. A generous act doesn't automatically make someone trustworthy. One bad day doesn't necessarily make someone toxic. Sigma females and Stoics understand that people are far more complicated than isolated moments. That is why they refuse to make permanent decisions based on temporary behavior. When someone suddenly becomes unusually kind after months of disrespect, a Sigma female notices it, but she doesn't immediately erase the past. In the same way, if someone she has always respected goes through a difficult season and behaves out of character, she doesn't rush to throw the relationship away. She understands that one chapter is not the whole story. Stoicism encourages this kind of balanced thinking. It teaches that wise judgment comes from observing what remains consistent over time, not from reacting to emotional highs or lows. Human beings are constantly changing. Stress, success, disappointment, and fear can all temporarily affect behavior. The real question is what keeps showing up once those moments pass. This mindset protects a Sigma female from being manipulated by dramatic gestures. She knows that some people apologize only when they're afraid of losing something. Others become charming only when they need a favor. A temporary performance should never outweigh a long history of repeated actions. At the same time, this way of thinking keeps her from becoming unfair. She doesn't define people by their worst day if they have spent years proving they are better than that. She gives room for growth, but she also expects growth to be real and consistent. Number 10. They can walk away without needing the other person to understand why. One of the greatest freedoms a Sigma female ever discovers is that she doesn't need everyone's understanding to make the right decision. Many people stay in unhealthy friendships, exhausting relationships, or toxic environments because they are desperate to be understood before they leave. They keep explaining themselves, hoping that one more conversation will finally make the other person see the truth. But some people aren't confused, they're simply unwilling to understand. A Sigma female recognizes the difference. She knows there comes a point when explaining yourself stops being communication and starts becoming a performance. The more you defend your reasons, the more opportunities you give someone to argue, manipulate, or make you question a decision you already know is right. Stoicism teaches a similar lesson. It reminds us that we are responsible for acting with wisdom and integrity, not for controlling how others interpret our actions. You can be completely honest, completely respectful, and still be misunderstood. That isn't always a failure. Sometimes it's simply reality. This doesn't mean a Sigma female disappears without a word or treats people carelessly. If a conversation can bring clarity, she will have it. If an explanation is deserved, she will give one. But she also knows when enough has been said. There is quiet confidence in leaving without needing applause, permission, or agreement. She understands that peace is often delayed by the endless need to justify every choice to people who have already decided not to listen. The truth is, some endings will never make sense to everyone involved, and that's okay. A Sigma female would rather be misunderstood while protecting her well-being than fully understood after sacrificing her self-respect. She doesn't measure the success of a decision by how many people approve of it. She measures it by whether she remained true to her values. In the end, that is the only explanation she truly owes herself. Number 11. They live as if every choice is quietly building their future identity. Most people think their identity is something they discover. Sigma females and Stoics believe it is something they build, one choice at a time. They understand that who you become is rarely shaped by the big moments everyone notices. It is shaped by the small decisions nobody applauds, the decision to stay calm instead of reacting, the decision to keep a promise when breaking it would be easier, the decision to walk away from what weakens your character, even when no one is watching. These moments may seem insignificant on their own, but together they become the foundation of a person's identity. A Sigma female doesn't wait until life becomes difficult before deciding what kind of person she wants to be. She knows that character is developed long before it is tested. When challenges finally arrive, people don't suddenly become disciplined, patient, or courageous. They simply reveal the habits they have been practicing all along. Stoicism teaches this same truth. Every thought you entertain, every habit you repeat, and every action you choose is slowly training your mind. Whether you realize it or not, today's choices become tomorrow's instincts. This is why a Sigma female pays attention to what most people dismiss as small things. She knows there are no small habits when it comes to building character. Every compromise makes the next compromise easier. Every act of integrity makes the next one more natural. She also understands that the future is never created in a single dramatic moment. It is quietly assembled through ordinary days that most people barely notice. While others are waiting for motivation or the perfect opportunity to change, she is already becoming the person she wants to be through consistent action. That is the hidden connection between the Sigma female mindset and Stoicism. Neither is obsessed with appearing strong. They are focused on becoming someone who can be trusted by their own conscience. And in the end, that quiet commitment shapes a life far more powerful than any image ever could. Number 12. They measure relationships by mental cost, not just time invested. One of the hardest truths people struggle to accept is that time invested does not always equal value gained. Many people stay connected to friendships, relationships, or situations simply because they have lasted for years. They think, I've already given so much to this, I can't walk away now. But Sigma females and Stoics understand that history alone is not enough reason to continue carrying something that constantly drains them. They look deeper. Instead of only asking, how long have I known this person? They ask, who do I become when I am around this person? That question reveals something most people ignore. Some connections bring peace, growth, and encouragement. Others slowly create stress, self-doubt, exhaustion, and emotional confusion. A Sigma female understands that every relationship has a cost. The cost may be time, energy, focus, or emotional stability. The important thing is whether that cost is leading somewhere meaningful or simply keeping her stuck. Stoicism teaches a similar lesson by encouraging people to focus on what improves their character and inner peace. It reminds us that holding on to something familiar doesn't automatically make it beneficial. Sometimes the thing we fear losing is the very thing preventing us from becoming who we are meant to be. This mindset does not mean abandoning people at the first sign of difficulty. Strong relationships require patience, forgiveness, and effort. But there is a difference between working through challenges and repeatedly sacrificing yourself for something that refuses to change. Sigma females recognize that memories are valuable, but memories should not become chains. They appreciate the past without allowing it to control their future. The deepest lesson is simple. A relationship should not only be measured by how long it has existed, but by what it consistently adds to your life. Time can create history, but only healthy connections create growth. Conclusion. The connection between Sigma females and Stoicism isn't found in being cold, distant, or trying to prove they're stronger than everyone else. It's found in something much deeper, the quiet discipline of the mind. It's the ability to think before reacting, to value truth over appearances, to choose peace over unnecessary conflict, and to build character through small decisions that most people never notice. These aren't flashy qualities, and that's exactly why they're so powerful. While the world celebrates loud opinions, instant reactions, and constant validation, both the Sigma female mindset and Stoic philosophy remind us that real strength is often invisible. It shows up in patience when others panic, in self-control when emotions run high, and in the wisdom to know that not every battle deserves your attention. Perhaps the biggest lesson of all is this: your greatest advantage in life isn't having more power over other people. It's having more control over yourself. The moment your peace is no longer controlled by opinions, drama, or temporary emotions, you begin living on your own terms. That kind of freedom can't be bought, borrowed, or given by someone else. It has to be earned through the choices you make every single day. If today's video challenged the way you think or helped you see these ideas from a fresh perspective, don't let the conversation end here. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Which similarity stood out to you the most, and have you noticed any of these traits in your own life? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss future videos filled with thought-provoking insights like these. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.